and welcome back to Do or DIY, where we prioritize creation over consumption and try to lead intentional and holistic lives. In today's episode, we are starting some holiday prep. Yes, I know I'm not ready to think about Christmas yet either, but when you intend to create gifts or create products to sell, you've got to get an early start on that seasonal marketing. We're going to make these easy crochet Christmas mice ornaments. You can also just make them as little Christmas mice stuffed animals, but if you make them as ornaments, I think they're really adorable gifts. You can use them to decorate your house, add a little bit of personality to your tree, hang them on your mantle, etc., etc. If you leave the plastic pieces out and embroider them as well, you can add a little catnip and make them cat toys. I've done that as well. As projects go, these are relatively quick and easy to make and also very inexpensive as they require very little material. You do need several colors of yarn, but you only need very minimal amounts of each. So if you get like a skein of each, you can make a ton of these and use them as gifts for all of your family and friends, or to sell, or just to decorate your entire tree with, because who doesn't love an adorable Christmas? Talk materials. You're going to need one color for the base of your mouse. I use this kind of, I guess it's kind of like just a beige color, but you could use brown, you can use white, whatever color you want the base of your mouse to be. This is just going to be for the head, ears, and tail. Then you're going to need two colors for this sweater. So for these guys, I used this red yarn, which I actually got at the Dollar Tree for $1.25 a skein, and green yarn, which this is Red Heart Super Saver from Michaels. But I also think it would be really cute to make them with red and white yarn, kind of candy cane stripe. You could do blue and white yarn for Hanukkah, etc., etc. What else? You're going to need 3 colors of yarn. And then you're going to need a 4.25 millimeter crochet hook. You can also use just a 4 millimeter, a 4.5 millimeter. It's really not very particular, just so long as it's in that range, so you can get a gauge that is tight enough that the stuffing doesn't come. Stuffing, you're going to need some polyfill stuffing. You really only need a tiny bit of this. I'm talking like this much for a mouse. So if you have some, that's great. If not, you can probably even use yarn scraps or something like that. Don't do that if you're going to give it to a cat, because they could get the strands out and that would be a choking hazard. So only do that if you're just hanging them on your tree or giving them to an adult. And lastly, you're going to need a safety nose. I have these little pink ones. I got them off Amazon. I will link the set down below. And then you're going to need 2 little safety eyes. Whatever size you want to use, I use these really itty bitty ones because I think they work well for the mice, but you can use something bigger if you think. You may also want a lighter to help melt the back of those safety eyes so they definitely won't come out. This is optional because if you have the safety eye backs, they should be fine, but I do like to do this on some of mine, especially with the extra small eyes. First things first, with your beige yarn or whatever color you're using for your mouse, you're going to make a magic circle, and then you're going to work 4 single crochet into it. Ignore how difficult I'm having a time keeping this on camera. And then after you work those 4 single crochet into it, you are going to pull it shut. Just so. Sorry, that really wasn't in focus. Next round, you're going to work 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then you are going to increase in the second stitch. And you're going to do this all the way around. You will have 6 stitches at the end of this round. Second round, you are going to work 1 single crochet into the first 2 stitches and then increase in the next stitch around, which should give you 8 stitches. Point you should have an idea of the pattern we're doing here. So for the next round, it's going to be 3 single crochet and then increase, and then we're going to do 4 single crochet and then increase, and then we're going all the way up to 7 single crochet and then increase, at which point you should have 18 stitches. point you should have something that looks like this, and now we are going to cut this yarn and change to our next color, which in this case will be red. Round, we are going to work 1 half double crochet in each stitch around, at which point you will have 18 half double crochet stitches all done in this red yarn or whatever color you choose to use, but this will give it that kind of collar look for the sweater. And I'm going to add my nose and my eyes, so I'm going to find the spot I want to put the nose. I'll put it in the first round, but just a little off-centered so that it doesn't sit straight forward, but a little bit on top, like so. And then just turn her inside out. And pop that back on. Lighter comes in handy, and now this is optional, but I do recommend if you want to just make sure it's a little extra secure there, and make sure you're being very careful if you're using a lighter. If you're a kid, get adult supervision, you know, all the disclaimers. But so I just kind of, you don't want to light it on fire, so like don't stick the flame directly on it, but you do want it to melt, and then you can use the end and kind of press it down. And this is going to give it that little extra security that this isn't going to be able to pop over that looks. And obviously try not to melt the plastic too much. You don't want to breathe in plastic fumes or anything like that, just a little bit. Good to use a well ventilated area if you're really melting it much. And then we're going to add our eyes. You see this placement, I guess they're about, what is that, about 3 stitches apart, and they are on between row 5 and 6. Facial features attached, you're going to change to green yarn. Do not cut the red yarn, okay, because you're going to have to switch back to it. So just leave that end here. It's really not going to get in the way, I promise. But now that you've switched to green yarn, you're going to single crochet all the way around twice. So you will have 18 stitches after each round. Complete those 2 rounds, you're going to switch back to the red yarn, and you're going to work 2 rounds of single crochet in the red yarn. Again, you will have 18 single crochet after each round is complete. After you complete those rounds, you actually can cut the red yarn because we're not going to need it anymore. And then you're going to switch back to the green yarn. I like to just kind of tie the loose end around the new one, keep it nice and secure. We don't want anything coming undone later. That would be quite inconvenient. And now for our last round of the mouse's body, you're just going to decrease all the way around. So work 1 decrease across 2 stitches, and you should have 9 stitches at the end of this. I'm going to cut the green yarn, leaving, I don't know, like that much off the end, just so you'll be able to sew the body shut then. And you're just gonna finish it off. Stuffing I said we'd need earlier, well, here it is. Let's just see if I gauged that correctly. You don't want him overstuffed because he really doesn't need to be, but I guess you could add a little bit more if you want a slightly firmer body, but it's pretty close. Alright, so then he looks like that, and trust the process, guys. You really gotta trust the process on this one. I know he's not looking cute yet, but he will, I promise. Now I'm just going to sew his end shut. Super easy. I just kind of take my needle and I push it up through, down around, up through the next stitch, down around, up through the next stitch, all the way around. It's super easy to gather it then. You just give it a little tug and knot that off so we don't have anything coming undone. So we want everything we make to last. So kind of the point, right? Alright, and then to weave it in, I just take the needle up through the body like this, pull it out the other end, pull it taut, like so you can see the divot, because this way when you cut it, you can pull out that end, and then the end is really truly up through him and not gonna pop out. Alright, so this is the base. This is the most time-consuming part. Alright, you got this done. You're most of the way there, so just trust the process for the rest of it, and you'll have a really cute critter really soon. You're saving your scraps of yarn because you can use them as stuffing, or you can card them and respin them into new yarn. We just don't want to be wasteful with it, right? Tail, we're just going to take this here, insert the hook through, and reattach our beige yarn. I just use a slip stitch like so, and then for this one we're going to chain 11 stitches, nine, 10, 11, and then skip the first string and just slip stitch in the 10 remaining all the way up to the body. Once you're there, you just want to slip stitch through the body again just to make sure it's really firmly attached, and then you can cut this yarn and finish it off, and then we're just going to weave those in the same way we did with the last one, pulling it up through. I'm going to make the ears. Now to make the ears, you're going to make a slip knot, and then you're going to chain 2 like so. You're going to skip the first chain, and in the second chain you're going to work 6 stitches. There's 6 single crochet, but you don't want to make this in a full spiral. You want it all to stay in like a half circle, so just all in that. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6. Now you're going to chain 1 and turn like you're working in rows. In the first stitch, you're going to work 1 single crochet. Then you're going to work 2 single crochet into the second stitch, so for 1 increase. Then you're going to work 1 single crochet in the next one, and 2 in the next, and 1 in the next, and then 2 more in the last one. And that is the entire ear. You're just going to leave enough yarn so you can sew it on comfortably. A little extra is better than a little too little. So cut that there, pull that end through, and then you're going to make 1 more of these. These on, I kind of line up the top edge of the ear with the eye, just like right above it, but in line. And then you're just going to kind of whip stitch it. You can kind of adjust the angle depending on how you want it to look on your mouse, but I just kind of stitch it on, and I gather it just a little bit to give it that cute little fold. You can kind of see how it's looking if you like it, and if you want to give it really a nice little fold, you can kind of stitch up through here and into the center. You can get that little bit of a gather. Give them a little personality. Alright, and then I just tie that off, weave in these ends, again the same way. That's how I do all of them, is amigurumi. Absolutely can leave him just like this, but I like to attach these little loops so you can hang them off a tree or a mantle or something like that. Use the red yarn again. I'm just going to make a little slip knot. And then I'm going to take my crochet hook and I'm going to insert it right under this half double crochet in the top of the mouse. Then I'm going to reattach the yarn with a slip stitch, and I am going to chain, I'm going to chain 20. I've done that. I am just going to fold this over and slip stitch it to another stitch on the top of the mouse. And then I'm going to cut the yarn. You really don't need to leave any extra, just enough to weave it in, and finish that off. Sorry guys, I'm being really clumsy today. Fingers refuse to work. Alright, and just like that, and then I'm just going to weave these in, and then we'll be done. Thank you for watching this video tutorial. I hope you will try this pattern, and if you do, please tag me on social media so I can see. My crochet shop is If Hooks Could Kill US. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Etsy. And yeah, I will link the supplies I used in the description box below, as well as my Etsy shop if you want to check out more of my patterns or find the finished products and purchase them as well. I will be listing these little guys on my Etsy shop probably November 1st, and this is only the first of many more Christmas patterns to come, so please stay tuned for that and follow if you enjoyed. Thank you.